Good morning, YouTube. Today I'm going to take the time to take you through a specific investment that I did over about 10 years ago and what the result has been today on that investment, and a couple of the details about the decisions I had to make and how I made those on that thing. My intent is to make this as simple as possible, but there are a few complexities that you might have to look at and say that doesn't make sense, and then think, logically, what does that mean from a return on capital standpoint. And so here's a bunch of numbers. Hopefully numbers aren't too scary to you, but this is a house I purchased in 2012. I purchased it for $69,550, which at the time I knew the house was worth about $90, within the next 6 months, similar to then. So when I bought it, what I saw was a house that if I bought it, I was going to gain $20,450 in my net worth. So as soon as you put it in your spreadsheet, boom, it's worth $90. You bought it for $69.5. That is a 51% return on the money that I put in. I put in $40,000 of the 69, of the basic 70,000. I borrowed $30,000 against the equity. Now you see this is a negative $4,000. That's because the first renters, we were not good at it and they trashed the house, and I'm just estimating a loss of $4,000 in the first year on that. So all my return comes from this gain in price between these two, which it was really worth it. That I bought it actually on the HUD store from Housing Urban Development. Now, what I want you to see is not this first year play, because what I saw at the time was this first year play, you can do a flip. You have to, after you do the flip, maybe you make $15,000 and your return is $40,000. You got a $15,000 gain, so you've got a 33% gain in 1 year on your capital. You think, wow, that's great. But the reason I didn't do a flip was I was looking to create a business entity of this house itself. And so businesses, Warren Buffett says, have money that they come to you, and they have a value underlying established by that money. So let's look and see how it played out versus the flip. The flip, you're looking at $15,000 in profit. Wow, I get $15,000, and you go do your next thing. Year two, not that impressive. Value goes up $95,000. My gain on my investment is $12,500. I'm not even counting any gain on rent at all, because the problem on rent is you have rent and you have payments, you have cash flow, all kinds of little things going on, and it's very difficult to see exactly what's happening. But we're just going to look at the value. Next year, $12,000 gain. Next year, $6,000 gain. Next year, $12,000 gain. Now, this is where something confusing happens. Originally, I had $40,000 of property. I now pulled out $100,000. So my investment in the property in about that year became negative $60,000. Therefore, my return on investment became negative. Now, they tell you in school negative return on investment is a bad thing, but let's see. So here I have negative $60,000 invested after 5 years, and so they've paid me to invest $60,000 in this entity, and the value went up by $12,000, which gives me a negative 20% return. So my net worth went up by $12,000 on an investment that they paid me to make. Now, when I look at an investment, what I do generally is I circle these 5 years. I put a box around these 5 years kind of in my mind, and I say, after 5 years, what will I have put in and what will I be getting out? Okay? So if I put in 10, I'm getting out 1. That's a 10% return, and that's a fine investment. I think anything that pays out better than like 6, risk adjusted, is is a pretty good investment. And so let's look at this one. Now, I didn't go back and look at all these years, but after 10 years here, you put a box around it. What did it pay out? It paid out $6,000. What do I have in it? Negative 60. So what is a good return on an investment that pays you $60,000 to make it? Positive. It doesn't really matter that much. So I got the $6,000 paying out, and then I have another $41,000 increase in the value of the house, which is a negative 68% return. But the totals this year then would have been $47,000 as far as the effect of my net worth in that house. Now, here's what you have to also think through. Okay, this $40K here now became $100. And what did I do with the $60K? One person might go out and buy something like a car, and then it's gone. You've kind of defeated a lot of the outcome of this situation. Instead, what I did with this extra $100K was I bought another house, and I repeated this entire cycle again. So I wanted to take time today to kind of show you what happened behind the scenes. Now, a couple things I'll point out here is most people get very, very caught up in this internal rate of return on their money, which you can see the first year was negative 10%, but I had a 51% gain because I bought it under value, and this is what I was really looking at. This was my moat on the investment, which is kind of a margin of safety. Now, if I had bought it for $69.5, I needed to sell it a week later. I could have sold it for $75. I wouldn't have lost anything. So I'm really not risking anything. This $40,000 was really not at any risk in this situation. So the $40,000 is not at risk. The only risk is kind of here. And if you look at this, I'm looking at this to net out positive over a 10-year period. And this is really the gain I'm looking at. And then this additional finance out that I have. So take a few minutes and look at this and kind of see what's happening. This is not uncommon. Now, these percentages, increases, the numbers year over year, 18%, may be uncommon. But if you stretch this another 5 years, that's going to be pretty much the norm. It's just the speed was a little faster. So the mechanism works sometimes faster, sometimes slower. But this is what I've done. One of the things that I'll point out to you is that this is something that when you go into it, you don't understand. You can't understand. You haven't done it. And I think it probably took me about 6 or 7 years to really understand what was going on in this investment. I understood year one because Warren Buffett explained it to me, and that's why I went into it. Then secondly, I understood that I was looking for a business and not a flip. A flip, your business is flipping, finding houses and flipping. I wanted a business that year over year, as I owned it, would make me money and add to my net worth. And so you see all these net worth gains here. They go directly to your net worth, untaxable because you haven't sold a property, and every single year it bumps your net worth. So in your net worth calculation, there's really no difference in this $23,000 and $23,000 you add to your 401k. There's really no difference at all. And so, if you think about it, most people, they work all year, they save 15% of their income, or they save whatever, they put it in savings or 401k, and they essentially what I did in 2018 by buying a house 5 years earlier and then just holding that house. So this was no work on my part. I have somebody manage the properties mostly, and my concept is I'm going to keep them up. They're going to look nice. We're going to optimize the rent, and I'm going to pay people out the cash flow to do most of the work so that I can scale. Otherwise, I couldn't scale the business as I have. And so I hope this is helpful to you to understand how this investment looks. This is not the only investment you can do this with. This is just one that I can show you There are other investments you can do similar things with, but you really have to have direct exposure to the investment. Otherwise, really, if you're like an investor in this house, you're going to receive a portion of this IRR. You're going to receive a portion of this net worth gain, but you're not going to be able to refinance it. You're not going to be able to leverage it to the next property. It's a lot of those gains you'll be lost for you. You'll not be able to flip the script right here. You won't be able to go to a negative ROI where you have no investment in the property anymore. You may make 6%, 7% on a low risk outside investment that you have with somebody else, but you're not going to be able to make these types of returns. And hope this was helpful. Like and subscribe down below if you want to see something else. This is a specific example of one house that I worked on and just how it played out over time. I'll talk to you all later. Bye.